xây tương thân tình trong đạo Phật, tùy khác màu nhưng một tôn sư. Hôm nay đây cùng nhau họp mặt, quyết noi theo đường Phật giáo Hoàng Dương.
Nam mô A Di Đà Phật. Con là Đại Đức Ấn Minh xin cung kính chào chư tôn đức giáo phẩm và Đại Đức Tăng Ni và quý Phật tử đang xem nghe. Hôm nay con có duyên sự để chia sẻ Phật pháp bằng tiếng Anh. Đây là sư chú Ấn Tri, chú là Sa Di tại chùa Diệu Pháp, chú cũng chia sẻ luôn. Bây giờ mình sẽ bắt đầu. All right, Andrew, you're ready to ask a question?
So kind of what I've been contemplating itself is the word actually called, like I said, contemplation, because one of the main parts of Buddhism is having the contemplation method, is that I see a lot. And so from just a little briefly is from doing that kind of thing, you see what is the truth from what is like lie. Mm-hmm. And so how do you develop this kind of method, or what kind of process is this from you seeing what's falsehood and what's truth, and in terms of Buddhism itself, in terms of, we can just talk about, for example, suffering, origination of our suffering in this world.
That is an excellent question. The contemplation method is having the ability to observe, right? And the key here is observe non-judgmentally, right? And how can you develop this skill of contemplation or observation non-judgmentally? Remember that meditation I shared with you, with everyone a couple weeks ago, where you observe all of the basically you focus everything here in the triangular region of the nose, and the triangular region of the nose is the area of the tip of the nose, the area of the nostril, right, and the area of the upper lip. This right here consists of the triangular region of the nose. And once we understand this triangular region, the steps here, it breaks up into 3 different steps. The first step is observing the breath in and out. You just, when you breathe in, know that you breathe in. When you breathe out, know that you breathe out. Do not try to control the breath. Do not try to regulate the breath, but rather just observe the natural flow of the breath. Stage 2 of this is observing the touch of the breath. As in, when you breathe in subtly, you can feel the touch of the breath as it touches the inside of your inner walls. As you breathe out, you can feel the touch of the breath as it goes out of your nose. Then you start to feel like a subtle touch. Even if your breathing is completely calm, you can still feel the touch of the breath. By this method, you're using the breath as a way to sharpen your mind, right? The third and final step is the observation of sensation. Once your mind becomes completely calm, and through the practice of the first stage and second stage, you develop the mindset where your mind is very, very sharp enough that you can feel the sensation that arises in the nose or in this triangular region. The sensation can be a hot sensation, a cold sensation, a numbing sensation, an itchy sensation, sweat, anything. Any of the feelings that arise in this particular region of the nose. When you observe these sensations, you're developing what you call the contemplation method, right? And by doing so, when you observe the sensation, you observe one very important law. It's called the laws of impermanence, right? That anything that arises will only pass away. For example, if you feel that your nose is starting to itch, by a reaction, what would you do if it itches?
You would want to scratch your itch.
You would want to scratch it. That itself becomes a subconscious movement where you start to scratch it because it's itchy. Automatically, your body would want to scratch it. However, by doing that, you have no control of your body movements. It's just a reaction. So what you want to do now is observe it non-judgmentally. Now you have the ability to step back, all right, and you look at the sensation from a different point of view. When you step back and you look at these sensations in a different point of view, you see that it arises and only passing away, right? If your itchiness arises, just observe it. It might itches for a second, it might itches for 2 seconds, it might itches for 5 seconds, it might up to 10 seconds, but eventually it goes away, right? Now you have the ability to not just blindly react, but now you have the ability to purposely respond. Instead of scratching, now you get to observe it. Now when you get to observe it, you see it and it only passes away. Now, if you look deeper into the differences of greed, anger, and ignorance, the 3 poisons, those are the reasons, those 3 are the reason why we're trapped in this physical world. If we want to elevate our consciousness to the realm of enlightenment, right, we have to learn how to remove the greed, anger, and ignorance from our lives, from our mind. So, say for example, you're angry. Now, when you're angry, when someone talks bad about you, it damages your ego, or this social mask that you create, all right, and trying to blend into other people. When someone talks bad about you, your ego or the social mask that you're covering becomes damaged.
Right.
So you would automatically react angrily. You would yell at the person, you would hit the other person, or you would do whatever to cause harm to the other person, whether it's mentally, verbally, or physically, right? But now when someone talks bad about you and you understand these feelings, you observe the anger that arises in your mind. Instead of blindly reacting to it, you positively respond to it, right? And now you have the ability to remove that anger from your mind. But if you constantly react to it, it's kind of like a mosquito bites you. If you scratch it, the more you scratch it, the itchier it gets, right?
Yeah.
But if a mosquito bites you, but you do not scratch it, it eventually goes away. And you even forget that you had a bite there. So anger, greed, and ignorance works the same way. It's there. But because of our ignorance, we blindly react to it. And when we blindly react to it, we're only making it worse. Whereas when you start to develop the contemplation method, you observe it in a way that it's non-judgmental, where it arises, when you get to observe it, and you observe it only to pass away, for it to pass away. Then you're in control. You get it?
Yeah.
That's what you need to do.
And so sometimes when I see the problems with people that misunderstand our interpretations of impermanences, that they see it in a negative way. And for example, the pain will only come along right after the pleasure is happening. Or for example, let's take it even further where it's almost no sense of hope for themselves because they feel like as soon as their body decays, it'll just, go pass away. And so if you can share us what is the vision, what is the hope into what the Buddha is trying to instill instead of our ignorance, some people that understands it in that kind of way instead, No,
that's an interesting concept. What you have to understand here is only reason why a lot of people would say the laws of impermanence is a negative thing is because they don't understand it. They were blinded by it from the start.
Oh, they didn't have the opportunities as
They didn't have the opportunity to understand it at the very beginning. We as monks or people that practice the Dharma consistently, we understand that everything constantly changes. That our body of ours is constantly changes. Our mind is constantly changing. And through this constant change, we learn to not hold on to things.
Right.
For example, I have a block of ice right here in my hand. The only reason why a block of ice will stay frozen if I keep it in what type of temperature?
It'll be frozen?
Yeah.
In a very cold temperature.
In a very cold temperature. However, if I were to take this block of ice and I leave it outside in the sun for an hour, would it be a block of ice an hour from now?
No, it would be liquid.
No. See, our lives, our body is constantly changing. The reason why our physical body is here is because all of the causality comes together for us to be here. But eventually, once we draw our last breath, a few years down the line, or whoever knows, even tomorrow,
Right.
I might die. Or even tonight, I might draw my last breath. We never know. But once that happens, I will lose this physical body, right? And so we know it from the very beginning, like that our body is constantly changing and everything is constantly changing. And once we learn this change, then we can learn how to grab onto things, non-attachment, right? But unfortunately, we run out of time. Let's have the commercial break, and then we will continue on to the next part of the show.
世間吞定trong đạo Phật tùy khát màu nhưng một tôn xưa hôm nay đây cũng